welcome to Happy Horror Time. My name's Tim Murdoch. You can't accuse me of not being enthusiastic.
When did I ever say you weren't enthusiastic?
Last week, Terrifier 3.
Well, by the way, everyone, my name is Matt Emmert, and I did say you were not enthusiastic. Look, do it again now, really unenthusiastic.
Welcome to Happy Horror Time. My name's Tim Murdoch. Here's Matt.
Hey guys, we're happy. It's horror. Hey everyone, it's the end of October.
Yay, November. Turkey, gobble, gobble, gobble.
No. This is our last episode before my favorite day of the year, Halloween. Now, I will tell you, listeners, that in our first movie review episode of November, which actually doesn't come out till like halfway through the month, we'll give you all the recap of my big Halloween party, which is, well, when this episode comes out, it'll just have happened, but we're recording this before the party. And we'll tell you all about the Halloween party, right, Tim? Tell everyone what you're dressing up as.
Oh, okay. Leatherface.
He's going to be Leatherface, going to have a chainsaw and actually murder people.
Well, I took the chain off.
You did? Dun, dun. Which is big because Tim usually dresses as a female villain.
Well, in a way, Leatherface dresses as a woman sometimes.
That's true, Tim.
Yeah, so my string of women scary people is continuing.
We have been trying to get Tim to dress as Betsy Palmer from Friday the 13th for years. I'll keep trying.
Don't get me wrong. I love Betsy Palmer with all my heart, but her costume's just a sweater and jeans, and I wear that every day. So
a lot of charisma. Riz, as they say.
Well, now, dear.
Wait. Do
Oh, this place.
Could I?
Would I? No, my favorite thing about Betsy Palmer is when she tells, because she did the convention circuit.
Yeah.
Before she RIP'd. R.I.P.
Before she rested in peace. Yes.
She always told the story about how she got the script and she said, what a
piece of shit.
Right. But
it'll come, it'll go.
She goes, but I'll get my new Scirocco.
She just wanted the $10,000 they were paying her to get a new car called a Scirocco, which I've never heard of in my life.
First off, just likes to say the word Scirocco.
Scirocco. Well, I am dressing as Elton John circa 1970s, the big all-white feathery jacket, like flamboyant look. If you put in like iconic iconic Rob Lowe looks, if you put in iconic Elton John looks, it's like the big white puffy one. So I'm gonna have the big glasses and everything. I just wanted to.
We've never discussed this. What inspired this?
Well, funny enough, I was listening to the radio and an Elton John song came on, and I was thinking, wow, he has all those like big flashy looks. And I was like, I don't usually dress flashy. I'm such like a t-shirt and shorts, t-shirt and jeans type of guy. And I'm like, but on Halloween, I would love to dress like big and flashy. So I started looking up his looks, and he has the glittery Dodgers outfit, which I was like, but I'm like, that just looks like you're in like a bedazzled like baseball uniform. So I didn't want to do that. He has the big peacock one, and I was like, then I'm dressed like a peacock. And then he has this like all white feather one with these huge glasses, and it just looked like really fun. That was it.
No, I agree. I'm actually, before Leatherface, I was going to be Liberace. So I was
similar types of looks.
So that's why I'm glad that I'm doing something very different than you, because Liberace and Elton John, I mean, we would just be too gay,
man. We would be gay times 200.
No, but I was for a good 6 months. I was like, really.
I remember you were saying Liberace, but you also were considering Elizabeth Sparkle from The Substance.
I tried. I wanted that big yellow jacket. It was not going to arrive in time.
Can I be honest with you? I'm actually happy you're doing Leatherface only because
it's the 50th year.
No, as iconic. That, and as iconic as Elizabeth Sparkle's look was, I think a very select group of people saw that movie. And I know you like people to know who you're dressed as, and I feel like 50% of the people at the party would be like, is he a real housewife?
Oh, that's so true, because like there are 3 Salt Lake City housewives that I would be looking like.
So that's what I'm saying. When it comes to Leatherface, nobody's gonna everyone's gonna know who you are.
Well, I am doing my makeup the way that he did it in the first film.
Good.
Because
that's
like
the big
when
one.
I Googled Leatherface's face, there's so many
Leatherface's face.
Leatherface's face. There's so many
iterations.
Thank you. Yes. I was going to say interpretations.
That would be correct too.
No, but you said the right word.
Wait, you didn't want to do the prequel look when he was, remember that one where he like got in an accident and his jaw got all messed up or something?
No, but the meanest one, as I was looking through, I feel like the Leatherface 3 was kind of like, it almost looked like what Rob Zombie's Michael Myers look like.
I think stick with the original in any movie. Like that look.
He has like blue eyeshadow and like pink lipstick.
Oh my God.
Cute.
He's cute. Okay, good. So then you'll have a little bit of that. You'll be like gender bending. Do you like that gender bending with your costume? I love that. And I'm going to be a big flamboyant gay British icon. Do I have to talk in a British accent?
I hope so.
Give me a few drinks and I'll be there. Anyway, so we hope everyone is going to have a happy and safe Halloween. I guess it's so funny because actual Halloween is our party is the Saturday before Halloween and actual Halloween's the Thursday after. But for me, Halloween's always the party. So it's kind of cool that we have like extra days afterward for Halloween. And by the way, if you are a patron, we have a bonus episode coming out on Halloween. If you are not a patron, you can easily sign up at patreon.com/happy horror time. That's patreon.com. But we do all our bonus episodes and we talk about like popular movies from the past. And we're talking about Halloween sequels this month. And we're talking about Halloween 3 on Halloween. So
I am so like, I mean, obviously I'm biased, but I really, really enjoy talking to you about Season of the Witch.
Well, you know what,
Tim?
I really enjoy talking to you about every horror movie.
Really?
No.
Because sometimes I look at you and I'm like, God, I'd love to be anywhere but here.
Yeah. You know, Tim and I were talking though about how we know when the other one of us is extra excited about a movie or an interview. Like, and I wonder if listeners can sense, like, when you hear me during any of our recent Halloween related interviews, I'm like a kid in a candy store. You hear Tim with any like Friday the 13th Final Girl or like random obscure type of horror movie interview.
I'm excited during every interview, but obviously there's things that like you grow up and you sit like in your car at a red light and you're like curious about it.
Yeah.
I love that I used, because I was just in my car.
What if you were at a yellow light? Well, you'd be speeding through the intersection.
Then I would just be thinking about sex.
That's what I think about at yellow lights. Not, oh my God, do I need to get through this fucking intersection? Thinking about, look, Tim, yellow light. Oh God, sex.
Right.
That's okay.
Like if it's like, wait, there's red, yellow, green. What else?
That's
is there?
it.
Okay, that's
orange,
it.
purple, and pink. In a good Elton John Liberace world.
I can't believe I'm going to share this, but yesterday I was at your house and I sneezed and I like threw my back out.
That is correct. And I called Tim appropriately a grandpa. Now, the ironic thing is I have actual back problems. So me, it's like the pot calling the kettle black. But my back problem, like I had them. So like when Tim,
but you hide it well.
Well, I mean, it's like constant. It comes, it goes, it'll come, it'll go.
Scirocco.
Give me $10,000 for that Scirocco. No, but Tim like sneezed and like threw it, and I was like, is this like when like an old person breaks their hip?
Oh my gosh! Like it shocked me so bad. I was kind of sitting upright and I sneezed and it just like I tore every muscle in my back.
How are you feeling today?
I feel okay.
Okay. Well, I told you you would. I told you would. Did you take Advil today?
I took it first thing when I woke up because when I tried to like roll over, I was like, ooh, ow, ow.
By the way, I had to explain to Tim that ibuprofen and Advil are the same thing. But the best part is that every time Tim asks me for Advil and I say, well, I have ibuprofen, and he says, is that the same thing? And I say, yes. So I figured after maybe 50 times telling him that, he'd remember, nope. Tim, do you want Advil? I'll take ibuprofen.
Let me tell you something about me, and I think you already know.
Short-term memory loss, yes.
That, and you have to tell me 2,000 times.
Well, I'm at 50, so I have 1,950
everything
left.
You say
goes in one ear and out the other. Well, you know, one thing I want to talk about before we get to our movie review is we were in a panel last week that was so much fun. And I just want to in our last episode, we plugged it because it was coming up. But in this episode, I want to tell you how it went. It was, it's a series of queer films called Queer Diaspora that's taking place at the Los Angeles Philosophical Center. And it's put on by Gregorio Davila, who's a filmmaker. And they showed the documentary Scream Queen, My Nightmare on Elm Street about Mark Patton and Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2. And then they had a roundtable discussion afterwards with Tim, myself, and Jacob from Happy Horror Time and Nick and Joseph from Fish Jelly Podcast. And it was so much fun. We just talked about the documentary, Nightmare on Elm Street 2. Nick and Joseph are so cool.
And Jacob did such a wonderful job moderating it in his own opinion opinion about the film and Nightmare on Elm Street 2. Like, it was really nice to hear and see him because, I mean, people, obviously, if they listen to this podcast, they know him as your boyfriend, but they also know him as my secret lover.
Yes, they know him as Tibbs. Yes, that's number one, how they know. No, I mean, he's our producer. He is also my boyfriend, but the thing is that he's incredible at communicating. He has amazing opinions. And I had talked to Gregorio when, or they asked us to be in this panel, and I was like, well, could Jacob participate? And then he said, well, would Jacob want to moderate it? And I asked Jacob, and he's like, sure, but as long as he could also participate. And I thought like he did both really well. He put his opinion in and kept us talking, and that's what a moderator's supposed to do, you know? And I was saying Nick and Joseph of Fish Jelly Podcast, they were so much fun. It was just really cool to participate in this. I just had a lot of fun, and not that I wasn't expecting to have fun, I just didn't know what to expect.
Right, no, and the place was so cool. It was like this, she said, I think it was built in the 30s or 50s.
Yeah, and they have like a library, like an old preserved actual library, like and stuff. Really cute building. It's in Los Feliz if you know the LA area, but we may get to participate in a panel in the future with Queer Diaspora. They show all sorts of like off the beaten path movies that have some sort of either like queer thematic elements or like a perspective or something. And who would have thought people would want to hear what we have to say?
I mean, if I don't know the difference between Advil and ibuprofen.
But you will talk about the queer elements in A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2. I mean, you've got to be blind to miss them, but yeah.
I mean, I guess I was.
No, but when we saw when we were kids and we didn't know.
That's what I'm saying. Like, when I saw it, I just thought it was a kid in Perel.
In Perel?
Yeah. I thought it was a kid wearing pearls.
He was a kid wearing a pearl necklace. Right. Oh, my God. Anyway, so Queer Diaspora, it was really fun. Now we got to get to... We've been done two like big hits in the last 2 weeks. Both movies were number one in the box office. Last week was Terrifier 3, and this week was Smile 2.
How much did it make?
$23 million.
Holy cow! I'm so proud of Paramount.
But here's the thing. Apparently, I read it inched out what Smile 1 made. It was like $22.5 million. I think though, even though that's a respectable amount,
inflation.
Smile 1, no one knew what Smile was and what to expect.
But what it had going for it was that trailer for the original Smile was amazing.
But I guess what I'm trying to say is that shouldn't Smile 2, because they already have a built-in fan base, have made even more? That's why I was like, when I heard it barely beat out Smile 1, I'm like, I don't know. I guess, I don't know. Are sequels supposed to make more, or usually they make less? I don't know.
You know, so Friday 13th sequels always went up. Well, I mean, but then part 3 and 3D, obviously.
I guess I'm thinking that if they're like Smile 1 was so great, and I'm thinking if all the people that like Smile 1 came to Smile 2 opening weekend, it should have made even more money. But it did have Terrifier 3 to compete with.
We watched that Smile 2 trailer for, I want to say, a year. So, I mean, don't get me wrong, I loved it every single time we saw it, but it was like kind of like Speak No Evil. Like, because we go to the movie so much, we saw that Smile 2 trailer forever.
And you know, one thing I was going to say, and I'm going to get this out of the way right away, that I really, really liked Smile 2. Really, really enjoyed it. Some people are saying it's better than the first one. For me, it's kind of on par with the first.
That's interesting.
But I will say this is one of those cases where I do think the trailer gave away too much, because I found myself being prepared for a lot of the jump scares in this movie because of the fucking trailer.
Yeah, I knew what was coming, but I really loved the element that the lead actress was a rock star.
Oh my God. First off, that was a great plot point, and her performance, Naomi Scott, who played Sky Riley, the pop star, the main star of Smile 2, incredible. I remember thinking Sosie
Kevin Bacon's daughter.
Yeah, in Smile 1 gave an incredible performance. But it's like both of these women of the Smile franchise, like the part is written so well. They get to go through so many emotions, and they've hired such great actresses. It's just like, for anyone who still thinks horror doesn't allow you to be an incredible actor, oh my God, like there are so many roles like this.
These two girls had to act like on level 10 throughout, and if that's not acting, I don't know what is.
Well, that and just the development from totally normal at the beginning to starting to question things to full on losing it to chaotic paranoia. I mean, both of these women, Sosie Bacon and Naomi Scott, were so good that like there's got to be. I know there's horror awards like Saturn Awards, Chainsaw Awards. Like, please give it to Naomi Scott for Smile 2.
Remember when Sissy Spacek and the mother, who I was for Halloween last year, and I don't remember her name.
Margaret. Oh, you mean Piper Laurie?
Thank you.
And she had just died.
Yes.
Remember? And I remember you asking me, should I still be Piper Laurie? I'm like, yes, because her character is timeless. It was a homage.
That's right. But I mean, like, both Sissy Spacek and Piper Laurie were up for Oscars, but like, I hope we'll see a day when actresses get an Oscar nod.
I feel like back then when horror was a little more sparse and Stephen King was new. I was going to say he's such a respected author, but like, I mean, Kathy Bates and Misery got one, but it's almost like they look at horror that's based on big novels as in a different class than just new creative ideas, which makes no sense. Like,
it really makes no sense. And it really makes me mad. So I'm going to burn your house down.
Yeah, I think you should burn my house down for that. Anyway, okay. So we start this movie. The cool thing about this movie is that it picks up literally, well, not right at the end. If you remember how Smile 1 ended, poor Sosie Bacon lit herself on fire, and Kyle Gallner, who played Joel, her like ex-boyfriend, the cop, was the one who watching.
I felt so bad because I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to end with a happy ending.
Oh, Smile 1.
Yeah.
I mean, I was
like,
had a feeling it wouldn't, but at the same time, I didn't know she'd light herself on fire. Like, that is extreme. I mean, it's like there's a lot of ways to kill yourself that aren't lighting.
I was not expecting you to sound like me.
So extreme.
Yeah.
I'm practicing to be extra flamboyant for the party.
Right.
Okay. So it's really beautiful because literally we just see a close up of Kyle Gallner and it says 6 days later. So you're like, oh shit, he has the smile curse. Is he going to kill himself? Now, if you remember from the first movie, because I hope you saw the first movie, there's only one way out of this curse. You have to murder someone and have someone witness it, and then the trauma of them witnessing you murder someone will pass the curse to them. So Kyle Gallner thinks he's a cop. He knows that these like murderous drug lords, and he's going to kill one drug lord brother in front of the other, which I guess sounds kind of smart.
And he was successful. But there was someone else in the room.
Well, but here, the good thing, the first way it doesn't go successful is that after he kills the brother in front of his brother, the brother pulls out a gun and they get on a shootout and he accidentally kills the witness. And he's like, you can't die. So you got to live to pass it on. But luckily, there is a guy in the room watching who is named Lewis. He's just a drug dealer.
Also
and he watches.
in White Lotus.
He's played by Lucas Gage.
That sounds right.
Now, if you know Lucas Gage, he's done a lot of roles you'll remember. First off, he was in that Into the Dark Hulu gay movie.
Oh, that's
remember?
right.
New Year's Kiss.
I love New Year's Kiss.
Yes, New Year's Kiss. He also was in White Lotus and got his butt eaten.
I'm so glad you said it because I was like, how do I say this?
How do you remember that? But other than he got walked in on getting his butt eaten. And then he was in something else. Oh, he was on season 4 of You. He was really good on season 4 of You.
Tell me what it is.
You.
Matt, come on, tell me.
No, me? And you're supposed to say me?
Me?
Yeah. By the way, I love you.
Oh my God, you're obsessed.
Tim, I love, you with quotation marks.
Truth be told, I've never seen you.
I'm sitting right next to you, bitch. No, I know. We could have a field day. Anyway, let's keep going, Tim.
Okay.
No. Okay, so Louis, and so in a way, Kyle Gallner sees that Lewis is watching, and it's like, oh, this is good. The curse passed on to him. But all of these other drug lords approach and start shooting at Kyle Gallner.
And we were in a different theater. Like it was like IMAX or what was it? It was like a shaky, like the sound was really loud.
One of those AMC like extra fancy ones.
Yeah, it was like we were in a fancy theater. So I like when that shoot off, I literally felt like a grandpa.
Vibrating.
I was like, what the fuck?
Tim coughed and he threw out his back.
I was like, my back hurts.
Oh God, my hip.
I was like, rewind it. What happened?
Rewind it. Put on the subtitles, which is funny because I put on the subtitles all
I know
the
you
time.
really do.
I love it.
You've changed my life.
I feel like I've changed movies. Jacob and I put on subtitles. We've been doing it since the pandemic. I've caught so much more dialogue. It has nothing to do with hearing loss. I mean, let me rephrase that.
It's not hearing loss.
It is for if you're hard of hearing. but you also can gain so much of a better understanding of like quick dialogue and not missing anything.
It's very beneficial, especially for what we do. We obviously talk about these movies. So
yeah, we don't
like,
want to miss things.
I don't want to miss a thing.
Because even when I dream of you.
Remember when everyone loved that movie and I was just like, what a piece of shit.
It came out in the summer. That song was played on the radio every minute. Nonstop.
And everyone was like, God, Ben and Liv Tyler are just it.
Oh my God. And remember, did you watch the video where they had clips from Armageddon, but it was Steven Tyler singing to his daughter?
Yes.
Ridiculous.
Anyway, our hatred for that.
Okay, so woo. Okay, so anyway, all these people are coming out, shooting at Kyle Gunner. He tries to escape. Remember, he's passed the curse on. He was successful. As he's running outside the house, what happens to him?
He gets hit by a car, which we all knew that from the trailer.
That's what I was going to say.
Like,
that was
man.
Such a surprise. If you hadn't seen the trailer, when you saw someone got hit by a car.
Well, the one thing we didn't see in the trailer was like underneath the car, because I was looking. Yeah. It was like his guts were hanging out and they were kind of like quivering.
But did you notice the blood stain from his body being dragged was in the shape of a smile?
And it said Smile 2.
And then Smile 2 comes out. That was really cool. And I wasn't expecting that. But it was so sad because I liked his character. He was the only one who believed Rose in the first one. He was nice. Like, it just was a shame. He was successful and then he gets hit by a car.
And the crazy thing is like we move on to the leading lady of the movie,
Sky Riley. But how do we first get introduced to her? By Drew Barrymore.
Yeah, and in that famous Drew Barrymore voice.
Ladies and gentlemen, Sky Riley. Now, and she does like a mock interview with Sky where we find out a little backstory on Sky.
And she had a car accident. So when she says car accident, was your first thought, was it the car accident we just saw?
So the reason I didn't think it was is because then they talked about how her boyfriend at the time died in it, and I thought we would have seen more of that.
Jack
so I
Nicholson's son.
But it's a good call because it was weird to show that him get hit by the car and then talk about a car accident.
And, which, by the way, I keep saying by the way, like I'm like running out the door getting
by the
groceries.
way, like you're changing the subject.
Right, like by the way, Matt.
It's a crutch.
It's a crutch. So the director, who also did Smile,
Smile Part 1,
Parker Finn. Mm-hmm. This is just a side note. He's cute.
Okay. Wait, that was it? Oh, yeah. I was waiting for it.
So smart and talented.
Well, and cute, apparently.
Yeah,
I haven't seen a picture of him,
I'll
but
show it to you right here.
He is a writer and... Oh, yes. Oh, he has that, like, nerdy, cute look. Oh, wait, he, writer and director. So
Smile 1 and 2.
And I feel like that, a lot of people will write movies, a lot of people will direct. To do both, I feel like that's...
It
is a lot, but you would think like, if you've written something, you want to direct it. But a lot of people are fine with someone else directing it. To take on the writing and the directing, that's a lot. Anyway, so we're introduced to Sky. We find out her backstory. A year ago, she was like hooked on drugs, got in a car accident. Her boyfriend died. And this is like, she's about to start on her comeback tour. And
because she took a year off. You said that, right?
Yeah. Okay. And we're introduced to her mom, who's her manager, her momager.
Who was she?
Rosemarie DeWitt is the actress who played it. I totally recognized her, but don't know from what.
Here, we're going to look it up right now.
And she also had, I thought this was a funny part, her assistant. Her assistant was named Joshua, and he was like, I don't want to presume someone's sexuality, but I would say gay.
I mean, as two gay men, I think we can.
Okay, so I think he was gay, and he's obviously like totally just enamored by this big pop star. He gets to be her assistant and stuff. But Sky, I don't know. Right off the bat, I got the feeling she was kind of a diva. Did you get a diva feel from her?
The mother?
No, the Sky.
Oh yeah, yes and no, but I feel like you have to be diva adjacent to have that kind of life.
She does have a look, and it's funny because we see pictures of her before the car accident, and she has this like long dark hair.
Ooh,
and
I didn't like it.
And her new look, she has this like short bleach blonde hair, and I loved her new look.
Oh my gosh, like that hairstyle, because the posters all over Hollywood and like the billboards. I love that hairstyle. You could see the roots, but it's okay.
Yeah, but it had almost like a early Lady Gaga, almost, or like an 80s Madonna.
Do you remember the
feel to
80s?
it.
There was an actress, I want to say her name is Jenny Wright, and she was in the movie Out of Bounds.
Oh God!
I know that's a very obscure.
That is
that's
obscure.
Like 39 years ago.
Let me say the name sounds familiar. The movie sounds familiar, but I can't place either.
So Anthony Michael Hall comes into LA and he takes like the wrong bag, and in that bag there's drugs.
But does he go out of bounds?
He goes out of bounds, and Jenny writes like,
"Let me tell you what's right." That's what she says.
She said, "Let me tell you what's right. My hair."
My hair. Wait. So the whole point of the story is her hair.
Of the movie, yeah, the whole point is she helps Anthony Michael Hall.
Oh, good. Well, but her hair looks like Sky Riley's.
Yes.
Oh, I mean, I loved her look. I think she wanted something completely new, but she does have scars on her stomach from the car accident. She's very insecure about them. And already you're like, oh my God. You remember from the first movie, the smile demon preys on any guilt or insecurity you have. With Rose, it was like letting her mom die, who was mentally ill, and she didn't call the police and all that. So we know what's going to happen. But anyway, Sky is like, she's rehearsing for a big tour and she has some back pain from this accident. So she decides to call up her friend Lewis, as in the guy who witnessed that murder in the beginning, to go over and get some Vicodin. Okay, bad decision.
I love their texting, and then she goes over there and it's kind of dark.
And he is nuts already.
Right. And so like his room looks very 80s. And I don't know if this movie was on purpose trying to look 80s, but don't get me wrong, as a child of the 80s, I loved all of it.
See, I got the feeling from his room, it looked like things weren't quite like lived in. It made me think...
Like it was like staged?
No. It made me think either like a Hollywood person who moves from place to place, or just someone that hadn't... was it a hotel room he was in, or was that his apartment?
Well, first off, I doubt it was filmed in New York, but the way
supposed to be New York.
It was supposed to be New York, but the way they filmed it, and like upside down, and they had like I'm assuming it's what's that thing called? And
a drone camera.
A drone camera. They had it like upside down, so it was like already you were like kind of antsy.
Yeah, it gets you out of sorts and things. She gets into his room or whatever. He's acting crazy. She, of course, just thinks, oh, he's a drug dealer. He's probably taking drugs.
And he's doing drugs. He's doing lines of cocaine in front of her.
Well, he says, let me go get your Vicodin. So he goes in the other room and he is gone for a really long time. Like, she's just like, I gotta go. I'm a big pop star.
Well, I don't think she was thinking too much of it because she sees that he's doing drugs.
But she goes to approach the room and then he out of nowhere starts running toward her, like looking behind her, like something's following her. If you remember, when someone is, cursed by this smile entity at the end, they see the crazy demon coming after them and then like it possesses them. So Sky's like, what the fuck? What? And then he just like kind of loses consciousness and then he turns and smiles to her. But then he picks up a 35-pound weight
and
bashes his face.
On his face. Not once.
Not twice.
3 times the lady.
But here's where it was so effective. Now, everyone who saw the trailer knew that he was going to kill himself with a weight because they showed that in the trailer. But where this movie was so effective is that you see what his face looks like after each bashing, and it gets progressively more gruesome.
And like his chin falls off.
It's just like, and to be honest, I've never seen, in all the horror movies I've seen, I feel like a bashing of someone's face so detailed. I know that sounded crazy.
No, it was good.
It was just so detailed. It's almost like they talked to someone and said, okay, first time bash yourself with a weight, what would it do? And they're like, oh, you'd be kind of bloody, a little bit of skin off.
Yeah, like, could you imagine the research?
I think he did because it was so detailed. Like you said, in the third one, literally part of his chin is falling off.
Yeah, okay, so before I forget, the mother was in La La Land.
Rosemary DeWitt? Oh, who was she in La La Land?
She played Laura.
She played Lala.
She played Lala.
She played Laura. No idea.
She also did. She's one of those faces that she does a lot of movies, but she's never like the focus.
So she's like the Judy Greer of movies. Right. Like she's in them all, but she's not like the main.
Rachel Getting Married. Like they're movies that you've heard of, but you may not have seen.
I mean, I've seen her face, so I knew she's in. But okay, so Sky freaks out.
Her horror movie connection. She played the mom in the remake of Poltergeist.
Oh, that piece of shit.
I know exactly.
Oh, that sucks. Okay, well, this was better, Rosemary. Good choice on Smile, too. Yeah. So, okay. So Sky freaks out, but if she calls the cops, she's basically admitting after being off drugs that she's visiting a drug dealer, and she basically realizes she can't call the cops and she just leaves. And of course she's traumatized. Now here's the thing about the smile.
Don't forget, she barfs.
Oh yeah, she barfs, and then she's all concerned that her barf's gonna leave behind DNA, which is funny. I kind of feel like, wouldn't it? I don't know.
Well, she Googled it, and it was one of those things that's like she Googled like is
inconclusive.
Yeah, so it was never focused on, but I thought that was a good Google.
It was, because I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, okay, it has part of your stomach lining in it, right? So I
but
think
it's not
it would.
a fingerprint.
Not a fingerprint, but if I can't believe we're talking about
I know,
this.
but it's,
like
well,
if it's unless the stomach acid like melts I guess you. I don't know. Truthfully,
yeah,
I don't know.
Next time we're at a murder scene, don't
barf. Don't. So she leaves. Now, the funny thing about Smile movies is that, to be honest, like, witnessing someone killing themselves is traumatizing enough. Who needs the demon possession? Like, I'd be going nuts just because of that.
That was my immediate thought. Okay, so she's already dealing with like the sadness of Paul Hudson, her boyfriend, getting in the car wreck.
Paul Hudson.
What's his name? Paul Hudson?
Paul Nicholson? Paul Hudson is the character name. Yes. He's played by Jack Nicholson's son.
Jack Nicholson's son played Paul Hudson.
So she 1 year after her boyfriend died.
Right. So she's struggling with having a comeback and being on the Drew Barrymore show, and then she's also dealing with what's that when you tear your hair out? A trichomania.
God.
There's a name for it.
There is a name, but she does have anxiety where she has the anxiety.
So and also she's having withdrawal because she was addicted to drugs for a year, or I'm sure many years. So she's having not using drugs anymore for the first time. So you can't just have withdrawal. Like, what's that called?
Yeah,
you just can't turn it off.
But it's been a year. I think she's gotten over that withdrawal, but she does take Vicodin. But the thing is, Vicodin can be addictive, and like the press, if they found out she was doing any sort of drugs, would ruin her, and she knows that. So she can't say anything that she saw this. But we start to get into where, and as we know from watching Smile, that now she's inherited this curse, and she starts seeing like little things. Like, first she sees, and I always think this is the creepiest one, because in Smile 1, I thought the very first time she saw the victim smiling in the dark far away, and it didn't jump out, it was just standing there. She sees in bed Lewis like smiling with his face all mashed out. Did you see, like, in the dark watching her? And that terrifies the fuck out of me.
And I thought that in the original Smile, when she was in her kitchen.
Yes, that's what I mean. The first time when it's no jump scare, it's just standing there watching them. Oof, I'm getting the chills. Thinking about
that's where these films really, really succeed.
Yes.
And maybe the first one was a little more chilling because there is something that I don't know about you, but I can't relate to being a rock star overcoming addiction.
I totally can.
Oh, you can.
Yeah. And
never
witnessing suicide or witnessing someone kill themselves like all the time.
Well, that's the thing. Like, she has got I actually thought without the whole demon aspect, the whole movie,
it was stressful enough.
Right. I was like, just her having her comeback was stressful.
It was. And remember, she has a tour coming in like a week. So not the time to get possessed by an evil entity. But unfortunately, she can't do anything about it. So she has slowly things start happening. Like, she has a signing event where she's signing people's t-shirts, like a meet and greet. First, this little girl, and they really cast her well, like, will not stop smiling and looking at her and is creepy, really creepy. But then this guy, Alfredo, comes up to her, and first you think he just kind of has a crush on her, but then he starts like manhandling her.
It was interesting because I did make a mental note of what he was wearing, and it actually comes into play later. But he has got like this. He's like sweating and creepy, and he's got like a skin disease, and he puts his arm around her.
Yeah, and now the thing is that she just thinks it's an obsessed fan. But later in the evening, and this totally was just the demon, she hears something in her apartment, and she slowly sees a trail of clothing.
Socks. And then those hideous shorts, then a t-shirt, and then this was a nice detail that I don't think anyone will forget.
Oh, the shit-stained underwear?
Shit-stained underwear!
And first off, you're thinking, okay, the fan's in her apartment. Secondly, you're thinking, oh my God, he's nude. Thirdly, you're thinking shit-stained underwear. And it was a lot.
Then he's standing there naked, and then he charges her.
It's now, anytime something in the dark charges you, it's terrifying. But now, they shadow it so you don't quite see like much nudity. You don't see dong. But he charges her. She freaks out. And then when she runs in, there's a knock at the door, and she opens the door, and he's gone. Now, the thing about the door is what we have to talk about is she has an estranged best friend named Gemma that apparently when she was on drugs a year ago got in a huge fight with. They show some text messages. That said,
I love...
Fuck you, bitch.
I love on TV shows. They do this on Housewives a lot. When women on the Housewives show, they pick up their phone and they're just about to text someone. It shows their old text messages.
And it's like awful.
They're all horrible.
So like her last text to her best friend, Gemma, who like worked with her, like was almost like on her tour and stuff, was like, fuck you, bitch, you're toxic or whatever. So she because she's like seeing all these hallucinations and she witnessed her friend kill himself, she has no one to talk to. She can't talk to her mom, so she calls Gemma and they have kind of a conversation. She apologized to her and Gemma says she'll come over so they can talk. So Gemma comes over and she's a funny character. I really like Gemma.
And she sounds like that girl that's Carrie Fisher's daughter in the American Horror Stories.
Oh, Billy Lord. She did have a Billy Lord. I
thought it was her.
She had a Billy Lord kind of
esque.
Yeah, like to her face. She's played by Dylan Galula, who apparently is best known, I'm looking on Wikipedia, for her role on The Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt as Xanthip.
I watched that show, but I do not recall her.
She was very memorable in this, but anyway, they kind of connect, but we get to, she sleeps over. And we get to the next morning, she turns in bed and sees Gemma smiling at her, and she like won't stop smiling at her. Oh, and she hears her say, "You're a horrible person."
Right. Well, I hate that the side effects really just are, I don't want to say fucking, messing with your mind.
Well, they're messing with their mind, but they're pulling at your deepest insecurities.
Oh my God.
Everything you feel bad about, everything you haven't answered for, everything you've like buried deep, dark inside. But then every time she has a hallucination, she like loses time. And like, so she's going like in and out of like all these hallucinations.
Oh yeah, her mom says, she goes, "Are you serious? Are you kidding me?"
Yeah, like she hadn't been ready. But then we get to a very memorable scene. But she has agreed, even though she's way stressed out, to appear at this children's fundraiser.
I loved it.
And now Sky is realizing that she is like...
Well, she told her mom, she's like, "Listen, I am not in the state of mind to do this," because earlier in the day, her like dressing room was trashed and she did like a number, like
she
a
didn't
practice.
even remember what happened.
And like she had like a hallucination where she like her bone came out from her car accident.
She yelled at her poor assistant. She thought he did it. He was so embarrassed. But she tried to tell her mom. Now, in the mom's defense, Sky agreed. No one but Sky agreed to do this children's fundraiser. And the mom said, "You are not going to cancel the day of on a children's fundraiser." So we get to the children's fundraiser scene, and the guy who's running it's like, "No problem. Just read the teleprompter. You won't have to do anything but that."
And the teleprompter gets stuck.
It's right after she's like, "Hi, I'm Sky Riley." And now again, the teleprompter getting stuck, I'm sure was a hallucination, but she starts to like improv.
Ooh.
And it is rough. She says like, "Fucking this." And she's like, "I thought like life wasn't worth living," or like she's talking about crazy stuff.
And then the guy that was in the car died.
Her ex-boyfriend who's dead.
He not only is his name showing up on the teleprompter, he's in the audience and he stands up.
And she starts yelling. Now remember, everyone watching this is seeing like someone freak out over nothing. She starts yelling at what she sees as him because he's smiling at her, and she's like, "Stop smiling at me, get away from me." Da-da-da-da. And then say it, Tim. This is funny.
Old lady like taps her on the shoulder and she like whips around
because she sees Paul tap her on the shoulder.
So she's having another hallucination. So that poor old lady goes flying over onto a table, and nothing makes me laugh more than people falling, especially old people.
It really felt like it's like an Instagram reel that you would have sent me. Like the poor old woman gets knocked off the stage onto a table. Now, luckily she's okay, but like it's hard not to laugh because it's so ridiculous.
And we also have to add, like, is right before she went on stage, like her makeup was smeared, like her lipstick was so smeared, but she's still plowing through.
She is. And so she finally realizes now Sky's been getting these texts from an unknown number saying like, "I know who you are. Were you at Lewis's apartment? You need to contact me because like if you want to basically save your life." So up until this point, she just thought it was just,
hallucination
or either that or just like someone who got her number and she was ignoring it. But now she's at a point where she is going fucking nuts.
This is her only hope.
Exactly. So she contacts the guy and goes to meet him. His name is Morris. And you find out that he's he's the brother of someone who had died from this curse, and he did research, and so he kind of explains to her everything we know. You know, she witnessed Lewis kill himself, this curse, you know, attached to her.
It was kind of cool the way they did it. Like they fast tracked his story, and they showed like his brother like yank off his chin.
Oh yeah, but it was good because it's almost like as viewers we didn't need the full story because
like,
we know
we can only concentrate on Sky Riley.
Exactly. Ladies and gentlemen, Sky Riley. I'm Drew Barrymore.
I asked you when the movie was over, I was like, was that scene improv? You're like, no, it was scripted.
For Drew Barrymore? Yeah. They're like, hey, Drew, we're not going to give you lines. You're a professional actor. I was like, of course it was scripted. Anyway, so Morris says, I think I found a way out of it. Basically, it only moves on if you die, so we need to kill you and then resuscitate you. And
which
she's
is
like,
basically
what?
this story of Flatliners.
It really is, but in Flatliners, it was
they just wanted to experience death.
And they wanted to experience death and to see what they saw while they were dead. With this, she just wants to get this like demon off of her.
Can you believe Flatliners had a reboot?
It was rough.
You saw it?
I did. I saw it in the theater.
You never told me.
I saw it with my sister. Is it weirdly enough? I remember. I was like, "Hey, remember Flatliners? They did a reboot because I loved the original, not so much the new one."
Okay, well, I can't believe you saw something I didn't.
I will totally watch it again with you. It was
no.
6-7 years ago.
I know. I guess at that
basically,
time.
so shut your mouth.
You know, I'm just gonna cry over here.
Okay. Tear. Anyway, she thinks Morris is crazy and she gets recognized at the bar, and so she kind of runs and whatever. Well, then we get a big scene, which I will say I call the choreographed scene because it's really well done, where she is pretty much fully losing it, and she has a scene where all of her backup dancers are smiling at her in a group formation.
There's something really cool about this movie. Like her psychologist told her, like if she feels overwhelmed, to have water.
Yes. Can we talk about
Voss water.
How many times we saw Voss water and total great product placement.
Want to have a sip.
She does talk about in therapy. She learned that anytime she has like a craving for a drink or drugs, to like drink a full glass of water. Well, I got to give it to Naomi Scott, the actress who played Sky, because she gulps down so much fucking water.
You can only do that one take. Like they're like, oh, can we do that again?
But the thing is that not only was she probably incredibly well hydrated for the shoot, but like the good thing is that it's a smart thing to do because water's really good for you.
It is, and it's good for your skin.
So when she was doing it, maybe she did say, "Hey, I'll do a few takes.
Oh, like, could you do it?
I could gulp down the first time, not after that. I'd start to feel nauseous, yeah. Anyway, so so they had this really well choreographed scene where all of her backup dancers, they're like in her her hotel room. They're coming after her almost like in a dancing sort of way.
It was cool. Like if she turned, I'm doing it, and like people can't see me.
Hey Tim, show everyone audio.
Like if you turn when she turned her head, it's almost like, what was that, like Red Rover, come over?
A childhood game?
Yeah, like when you turned your back and people could run.
Oh, yes.
What was that? Was that Red Rover?
That was Red Rover. Good call. Every time she turns away from him, they run or scurry toward her.
Yeah, and like it was really cool because it was in the New York City apartment. And I said this to you right after the movie. Do you remember we watched this movie, The Eyes of Laura Mars?
Oh, yeah, of course.
And like it had that like 70s look, her apartment. Yeah. Or wherever she was staying. The movie had a really 70s, 80s feel. I know I already said that, but it was this particular scene with the dancers and like it really came together for me.
For me, it felt like almost like a choreographed dance. And obviously it was choreographed because they all moved to, but the way they moved was like so artistic. I know that sounds funny because
they're Broadway show.
They're possessed demons and their hallucinations, but it was done really well. And the great connection is that they actually are dancers in the movie. So it just made perfect sense. I loved it. But Sky gets knocked out. And while she's knocked out, we get a flashback of that accident with her and her boyfriend. And first off, we find out that during the accident, they were both like on drugs. They're in this horrible argument and she grabbed the wheel.
Oh, on a very windy road in the middle of winter. And
she grabbed the wheel and they went like over the the side of the road. So it really was her fault.
Yeah. So she has some massive guilt.
But then wakes up.
I mean, granted, I'm not
saying he should have killed.
I'm not saying he should have died, but he was an asshole.
I will say they both were just such assholes to each other. And now I think it was one of those, they were a couple having a bad fight and they were on drugs. So it was like, it just was the worst possible scenario.
First off, this is like goes without saying, but no one on drugs should be driving.
Oh, of course. Well, that's why there are laws against it. That is correct. DUIs, yes. With that said, she wasn't driving, so she got off scot-free. She, of course, never told anyone, oh, yeah, I pulled the wheel.
Yeah.
Anyway, she wakes up in a wellness center with her mom, and, her mom said, like, we found you passed out, like, you need a day's rest, and then you're back to the tour.
Right. And then obviously she starts this hallucination, which I thought was pretty nasty because, what's this called in your arm? Like
flesh?
No, what's that? I mean, like she had
she had an IV in her arm.
IV, so she's trying to the mom starts.
She starts hallucinating
nuts.
her mom. Now, if you remember in the first movie when Rose's therapist comes over, but then the therapist suddenly starts talking like the demon. It happens to her mom. Her mom's telling her oh, it's gonna be okay. Then the mom turns around smiling and becomes the demon. But as she's speaking to her and approaching her, she breaks the mirror and stabs herself repeatedly in the eye.
Oh, it's awful.
And when Skye snaps out of this hallucination, she's holding the shard from the mirror, and she's like, oh shit. And she looks, and her mom's lying there dead and bloody, and it looks like she murdered her mom.
Right. So then she takes a blanket off of the bed, throws it over her mother, and then there's the assistant brought this sweatshirt. So she puts on the sweatshirt over a blood-soaked
like hospital gown, and she tries to escape. Everyone sees her. Right as she's escaping, her friend Gemma's showing up with coffee, and she's like, I need the car. Of course she has a driver. She grabs someone's gun, gets the car, and then Gemma's like, I'll go with you.
Before that, her assistant totally blows her cover as she's trying to get out, and
you want a soda?
Yeah, he's literally holding a squirt, and he's like it's what product placement, and then she grabs a cop gun.
Yeah, and that's when she goes and she grabs the car, and you think Gemma's like, I'll go with you. She's like, ride or die, and you're like, oh my god, she finally has a friend with it, and she texts the guy Morris, and she says, I'll do it. Let's kill me, and then I'll resuscitate me, and they're gonna drive to Staten Island. But
there was a funny line here. Gemma, she goes, ew, Staten Island.
Oh yeah, she's like, we got to go to Staten Island. Gemma's like, ew, why? But in a very great callback to the first movie. Now, you remember when Rose has the therapist there, and then she gets a call from the therapist, and she looks ahead of her, and she's like, oh my god, that's not her. Well, this is so sad. I felt really bad for Skye, because she gets a call, and it looks down, it's Gemma calling her. So the Gemma in the car with her.
Hey, sorry, I haven't gotten back to you in a couple days.
Sorry, I haven't gotten back to you in a couple days, which means every run-in she's had with Gemma that we've seen has been a hallucination. They never made up. She never forgave her. And the girl with her in the car driving is not Gemma.
Which, as a viewer, I get it, but...
How's the car driving?
Right.
Remember, she kind of wakes up from it and she's driving. It did, it bent reality a little bit, but why I liked the scene so much is because some people could say,
eerie.
well, oh, they just did what they did in Smile 1, but this one I thought they took it up a step, because in Smile 1, it was just that interaction, it was a hallucination. In Smile 2, she gets the phone call and realizes Gemma hasn't been with her any of the movie.
Right. And I think that's why these films work so successfully. I'm glad that Parker Finn, I call him Parker Finn.
I would say Parker Posey.
Parker Posey. I'm glad he was consistent on it's almost yes, you want almost the exact same smile, but happening to someone else.
Yeah. Well, and see, the funny thing is I read some interviews where he actually said on record he didn't want to just recycle the same thing, which is why he didn't just do Joel's story. He wanted to do a different scenario. And I think was successful by doing a pop star. It's a totally different way of life,
No, I mean, and as a mere mortal watching a pop star,
a mere mortal, are pop stars immortal? I get what you're saying.
You know what I mean?
Yes,
I don't know if
someone
I'll
who's
ever,
not famous. Yeah.
Right? I don't know if I'll ever be that famous.
Tim, we will. Okay, we will. Happy Hour Time live shows. We're gonna do Vegas. We're gonna do Paris.
Right? No, but I'm saying her lifestyle did not paint a picture of something I would strive to want. Her life was a mess.
Too stressful, and especially how she was approaching life. But anyway. So she realizes Gemma is a demon, and then she wakes up, she's in the car, which again, how was she driving? But she gets to Staten Island, and she meets Morris in
At Donato's or Domino's?
No, it's a Pizza Hut.
That's right.
Because it has a freezer, and he's like, we got to get your body temperature down, then we're going to give you this syringe, which will stop your heart, then I'll resuscitate you. She's, of course, terrified, but what the fuck else is she going to do?
Yeah, she's like, I'm at the end.
But then he says, okay, give me a second, and he walks out. And I'm like, and I knew at that point, did you know something's off?
Okay, it's like none of this is real.
Something's off. Well, then she starts seeing the demon, but the demon is her before she got in the accident. So it's like long hair, but it's like a little bigger
I thought
than
it was
her.
like right after the accident. Because she was
yes.
unbuckling.
Sorry, you're right. You're right. It was right. Okay, at the time of the accident, like long hair, all messed up, but it's also kind of nightmarish. Like it wasn't, the proportions were off. It was like demonish proportions.
Right.
And it starts taunting her, and she thinks, okay, fuck Morris. I'm just going to like put the syringe in myself. And she does it, and the demon laughs at her and says, none of this is real. And I was like, oh no.
I hate to say this because I really did like the movie, but it was the one aspect of the film I was like, you're
too much like not real stuff.
But I also thought the girl that she was when she was fully addicted to drugs and everything wasn't particularly scary. I almost think like it would be more scary if it was the blonde because like she's trying to get her life together. I don't know.
Well, in the first one, the demon. Well, we get to the end scene when we do see a more demonish, nightmarish version of the demon, but I think it was almost like showing her a reflection of herself. Like, because remember in the first one, the scariest thing was Rose seeing her dead mother, because that was the most guilt she had. In this one, I suspect that the scariest thing is seeing her past self, because she's trying to put that behind her. It ruined her life. It killed her boyfriend. And so seeing that reflection of her past self is like the scariest thing for her. That's just me guessing.
No, I agree with you 100%.
Well, after that, I was like, oh shit, maybe Morris wasn't real. All this was a hallucination. And then suddenly she kind of wakes up. It's like hallucination within a hallucination within a hallucination. And she's at Madison Square Garden about to walk on stage for her tour. She's in like a hot outfit, the one she didn't want to wear.
Yeah. That's like, she hated that one.
And she's about to walk off. And all I could think at this point, Tim, is I kind of had the idea. I'm like, oh my God, they're going to have her kill herself in front of the entire crowd. I knew it at this point.
I actually thought that during the trailer because I thought, they're doing Smile on a bigger level. Like if everyone witnesses it, is it everyone going to be? So
are you ready for this? I got to give a shout out to my nephew, who you will be familiar with if you listen to episode
Beetlejuice
221 on Beetlejuice, because he joined us. But he was excited about Smile 2. He just was able to see Smile 1, and he tells me the last time we FaceTime, he's like, Uncle Matt, what do you think she's gonna kill herself at a concert so that everyone gets the curse? And I remember thinking when he said that, that's a really smart idea, but you know, they won't do that. And look, he just called the end of the movie.
Bix and I've called it.
Bix and you called it. I mean, so I had that in my mind, but I knew right as soon as she was walking on stage, I'm like, okay, they're doing this. So she walks on stage. Now she looks in the audience. Her mom's alive.
The assistant.
The assistant's alive. Everything was hallucination. She's about to start singing, and then she sees like herself, but it like morphs into this like really, I don't even know how to describe it, CGI-ish demon.
Right, like,
with a bunch of faces.
That was insane. It was practically the same demon from the first one,
the first one, if you remember the first one, it's like this 20-foot tall. It is pretty scary, but it's really over the top CGI-ish.
And, like, obviously only she sees it.
Of course, and she's looking and stuff, and as you know, at the end, when it's going to possess you, it literally pulls your mouth apart and crawls in. So we're seeing it do that to Skye. The fans are watching her like coughing and choking, and the people are starting to freak out. And like her mom's like, someone needs to call 911. Like, what's going on? But then she's possessed. She gets up. She's smiling. And then we see, and I thought this was a cool way to end it, because we don't see her actually killing herself. We see the crowd's reaction.
Well, okay. Well, as someone who's done background work and extra work.
Were you watching all the extras?
Like the extras were like, if you really zeroed in on someone, like, were they actually acting? Not acting, but were they paying attention?
Some of them, I think, were overdoing it. They're like, oh, like, you know, and now some of it. So, okay, just to describe the scene, we hear what she's doing is she is bashing her head with the microphone to kill herself.
Right.
Literally through her eye.
Yeah, right. That's weird.
Now we're watching the crowd watching it. So you got to say there's a little bit of irony here because we're a movie theater crowd watching a concert crowd in a movie watching someone else kill themselves. Like, how many levels of meta is there here?
Parker Finn, you did it again.
You did it again. But we're watching them, and you're right. It's a huge amount of crowd people, and they're watching the pop star they've come to see perform kill themselves on stage. So they're horrified, but you're right, not everyone. There were varying levels. But how do you control a crowd of 1,000 extras?
I don't know. And it's like the movie. It's weird that there's 2 films that we saw this year about things going on in a crowd. Like there was the movie Trap, which had M. Night Shyamalan's daughter. And then you have this movie. Well, I thought that was very interesting.
And one of them was really good and one of them was poop.
Well, a lot of people like Trap. I don't know who those people are.
I mean, well, so just to get to the last scene, they do show her dead body laying dead on stage. The microphone is inside of her eye socket and she's smiling. And then it cuts to black, which is a perfect way to end it because now you're left to think, oh my God, did everyone watching this inherit the curse? Is this like thousands of people?
Is everyone going to lose their damn mind?
Well, is it going to be like a worldwide epidemic? Forget COVID, it's smile.
Right, or Omicron.
Yeah, but it leaves it open. I mean, there's number one, there's got to be a Smile 3.
Obviously he did an outline okay, obviously there's going to be a Smile 3.
Of course. Now, I did read a few interviews, and I will say this. Parker Finn is very educated at the political answer because everyone's asking, so does this mean it's gonna be a worldwide thing and all of us answered well, it's interesting, we could explore that, one would think maybe that could, he was being so coy, which again, of course he doesn't want to say, yes, Smile 3 is gonna be about this and this, but I would say if there is gonna be a Smile 3, which I'm sure there will be, it's gotta extend on to tons of people after
I
this.
became very attached to the Riley character and Sky Riley. It's a bummer that obviously she shoved a microphone through her eye. So
such a bummer. But didn't you feel that way with Rose in the first one? You grow to love these characters.
I actually thought, I was well, maybe she'll be in the second one as a cameo, but now I was no, she's dead.
Do you remember actually, if you caught this, it was really quick in the very opening scene when Joel is going into the house to kill the drug lord in front of his brother, you see out of the corner of his eye or the corner of the shot, you see Rose or someone lit on fire, he's still seeing that. So he's still, hallucinating her killing herself.
I'm so glad you brought that up because there was a point where I was I saw it and I just accepted it.
And I'm sure, obviously they didn't get Sosie Bacon for that because it was a burned person.
Oh, that's weird. She didn't come in to get burned.
She's hey, I'm going to come in one scene, burn makeup everywhere.
To be, official.
She's if it's going to be me, it's going to be me.
Right, I'm an actress
and I'm
going to
sing it in sync. It's going to be me. No. So I did like that little time. So I just think that these movies are so smart. They have such great, everything is so well thought out, and that's a testament to the writing and the directing. And yeah, this opens it up for, okay, is it going to pass on to all these people at once? Are we going to just focus on one of the people? Is it going to go worldwide, Mr. Worldwide?
Well, my only criticism, if I have any, is it could have been 15, 20 minutes shorter. I do not like 2-hour horror films.
I know. It's not that, here's my only criticism, because it's obvious we both like this movie, right?
I loved it.
We both really like this and we both really recommend it. My only criticism is that when you get to the point when so much of the movie is a, quote, hallucination, I start to get a little aggravated because I'm it's almost like when you're watching a movie and they say everything's a dream.
I mean, and Nightmare on Elm Street can do that because it's Nightmare. And but that did a better job.
Though, I don't want... So, in the first movie, there were a number of hallucinations, but then we got real life. In this one, we're supposed to think that literally the last 30 minutes are a hallucination. That's a little much.
I agree. It didn't break. It didn't.
And I don't, because then that's everything I'm watching is fake. That's again when you wrap something up by saying, oh, it was all a dream.
I was you're telling me the mom did not take that blade off the mirror and shove it up her neck?
I wanted to know the repercussions if she got blamed for her mom's murder. Also, I wanted to see, would they have been able to resuscitate her? Would that have stalled the court curse?
Dead?
Well,
I don't know.
But I mean, what if they had killed her like Flatliners and then resuscitated her? Would that have gotten rid of the curse? We're never going to know because it was all a hallucination.
Right, that the guy Morris, we never got to see if
was he even real?
That's a very good question.
I don't know. Like, was he real? We know that Gemma had never reconnected with her friend because that call, she was like, okay, I took a while to call you back. We're like, well, shit. So there's a lot of stuff that is what was real.
We've got a good 5 questions to ask Parker. So here he is.
Hey,
Come
Parker.
on, Parker.
No, I would love to talk to Parker. I will say, though, I have a feeling that he won't answer a lot of these questions definitively.
No, you got to leave it up there.
Yeah, and maybe let's talk to him 5 years from now. Then he'll be like, okay, in Smile 2, this is what was real.
Right. We got to get him 40 years later, like the way we got Amy Steele.
Let's wait 40 years.
When it's the 40,
when it's there on Smile X in space.
It's going to be Smile X reboot.
Then we'll have Smile versus Terrifier.
Right.
Like Freddy
Could you
versus
imagine?
Jason. I mean, what is he?
Well, that Terrifier, the clown art, would fight that thing that came out of her mouth.
No, it went into her mouth. That thing that came out of her mouth. Wow. But I think it is safe to say Smile 2 is not going to disappoint you whether you were a fan of the first. Well, I mean, I guess if you didn't like the first one, you probably wouldn't like.
Why would you be there?
Yeah, okay. If you're a fan of the first, the second one is definitely not going to disappoint you.
It's a slick movie. Like, it is a really, I've said this in past podcasts, and I know I sound uber old, but it's a really cool movie.
It's really cool. No, it is. And it really, like what I was trying to tell people who asked me in person, what you think, it's like, feels like it really amped up the original Smile. Like it's Smile 1, like on like an energy drink. Like there's just a lot more going up. Yeah, going out. Wow.
I want to go out.
There's a lot more going on. Because it's a pop star's life, it's an amped up lifestyle. There's amped up scares. There's more of them. It's just everything of Smile amped up, like to the nth degree. So I think that people who like Smile will really like this. I think it's a great like October Halloween movie.
I can't imagine anyone walking out of Smile 2 being like, I hated it.
I haven't heard many, like it was certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. Not that means everyone likes it.
And it was so crazy. The lead actress is so, I wanted her to get her life back on track. Like I was rooting for her, like a Tyra Banks.
She was starting to, but she had a lot of, I guess you would say, skeletons in the closet. Like meaning she wasn't such a good person, even though she was trying to be. She had a lot of baggage. Let's just say.
Well, I mean, I think that's relatable. I think,
of course.
I mean, that's why I'm not saying I was addicted to drugs, but you were. I was. I've been meaning to tell you.
and you also bashed your head in with a weight.
Yeah,
a 35-pound weight. No, look. All props to, I would say, the stars of this movie are the writer, director, Parker Finn, and the lead actress,
and whoever
Naomi
did her
Scott.
hair.
Naomi Scott was incredible. This performance, let's say you didn't like the movie for some odd reason, you can't deny that her performance is great.
And we did not even mention, she is a British person. She never slipped up.
Oh, yeah. I love it. Tim is always very amazed that British people can do American accents and American people can do British accents. I love watching a movie and then we see like an interview and he's like, they're British?
Well, because it's like their accents are so...
No, I get it. For me, I can't imagine doing an accent for 1 minute, let alone an entire movie.
I could I could do a couple accents.
Okay, do it.
Oh, okay. I could do like a gay one.
Is that the podcast? I just kidding. No. I think it's incredibly tough to keep on an accent. I for some reason Americans can do British and British can do American accents pretty well, at least from movies I've seen.
I'm trying to think like Nicole Kidman, has she ever done a movie where she doesn't have her little accent?
Of course. She's done a ton of movies where she has a quote American accent.
She just always sounds sophisticated to me.
I know, she does.
Like British people always like heighten like the sophistication of a movie for me.
It's like if you have a British accent, you're suddenly smart.
Suddenly the movie is like A24.
Suddenly Susan with Brooke Shields and Kathy Griffin. Okay, I think we should call it an episode. Anyway, we since this is the last episode before Halloween, or the last regular episode, we want to wish everyone a happy
Halloween
and a safe Halloween. Hope you're watching tons of scary movies, even more than usual, and we will talk with you soon.
Sounds great, Matt.
Okay, bye.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Happy Horror Time.
If you'd like to support the podcast, please sign up to be a patron at www.patreon.com/happyhorrortime. As a patron, you get access to all our bonus content, which now includes 2 new bonus episodes every month, a monthly after-show mini episode, access to our Discord community so you can chat with us directly, and the chance to review a film with us in one of our bonus episodes.
Patrons also get all our regular episodes ad-free and a day early, our monthly newsletter, the chance to vote in polls, and autographed Happy Horror Time stickers.
I'm Matt Emmert.
And I'm Tim Murdoch.
And we hope you have a happy horror time.